What is happening, man? I am super excited. We have the queen in the house and, really embodying what the whole One Big Fire, conversation is really all about, right? We burn brighter when we bring them all together, and we got a massive, massive flame coming in with us today. V, great seeing you as always. Welcome.
Always good to see my brothers, my friends, my Honey Badger family. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Can you guys hear me okay?
We can hear you loud and clear, Queen. We appreciate you coming on and blessing us with all your knowledge. I mean, I don't really know anybody who's got their ear to the ground more than you on the next bat. When I need to really get filled in, other than what's on Inman, you're like the human version of Inman, but better, because you're actually selling thousands of homes out there. You're an operator doing it. You see what's happening on those out there. I have been out of that sales role for a while now, and John as well. So we love having you on. Not just because of that, but you are the queen, and we love you so much.
Aww.
So thank you for coming aboard.
Thank you.
We got a lot to cover. I want to hear. Veronica attended the She Summit with Tina Call, Kendall, and probably I would say hundreds and hundreds of lady power women in our industry, which I just love watching y'all get together, collaborate from all different brands. I want to hear about that. There's a couple headlines too we want to look at. Homeownership hit a new high. It's only grew by 1%, but renting is growing by 3x faster, which is interesting and fascinating. We're going to talk about that. Opendoor, our friends at Opendoor, they laid off 300 humans, and they posted a giant loss in Q3. So I'd love your I know that you've dealt with the institutional buyers in your business, V. So I'd love to unpack that with you. And then we can, kind of close out and talking about some good news with the financial results that just came out Q3 with EXP. We had some revenue gain in the third quarter, and some really actually the numbers that we're seeing. I was actually shocked, to see not only how, our company's been able to reduce costs as far as expenses, but also grow our revenue in a time where a lot of agents are struggling and having, their worst year they've had in a long while. So we got a lot to unpack. Johnny, JK, for you. Let's dig into it, my man.
Let's go. V, talk to us a little bit. I love getting your perspective, just because, like Al had mentioned, I mean, you operate at a high level, but you lead at a high level. And I think that's, where I always kind of want to start. And I started listening to Rodriguez's book, the Influence book. And he said something that really resonated with me big time, just because I've played golf, for over 40 years of my life. And he talks about, leadership is like a bag of clubs, right? Like you can't just pull out the driver and drive and bang it all the time. You got to have some of those soft skills and clubs, and you got to have the finesse shots, and you got to be able to use the whole bag. And, I love getting your take and your perspective from a leadership, viewpoint as we navigate towards the end of the year and into 25.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, again, thank you for having me. It's always an honor. And I would say that this is probably one of the toughest years all of us have gone through. The stats are out. 3.8 million homes will sell this year, when we were used to really about 5 million plus, at the peak. And cash was great. Business was coming in. This year really challenged a lot of us, including myself. And even in our worst year, we'll still sell 500 homes. This is not our best year, but we're getting through the final stretch of the year. And we learned a lot. And me, as an operator still in the trenches, I work closely with my leadership team. Actually, after this call, that's what I will be doing, locking myself in for 4 hours with my leadership team. What are the decisions we're making to close out the year? What are we doing to make sure we set ourselves up for success in 2025. What is our avatar of the agent we want to be in business with now that we're in a completely different season of the industry? I think we were all faced with hard challenges. Am I in the trenches the way I used to be, where I'm, the head recruiter or the person, fielding every call? No, but what I do is I focus a lot on my leadership team, and I'm here. We're testing out new products for efficiency. What are going to get our agents excited about dialing? How do we get them in the right mindset? Because this has been a challenging market. It's been a challenging market. And I think mindset is going to be key for anybody. I was just recently on a panel and at She Summit, actually, which we'll talk about. One of the questions that they asked me, what's the number one mistake you made as a team leader? And I've made so many mistakes as a team leader, but one of the things that I did that I recognized was that I outsourced the heart too soon of this team. And when cash was good, right? Cash hides a lot of mistakes. So we really didn't have to worry too much because it was very transactional. We were all in that transactional game. We'll talk a little bit about the iBuyers and the big conglomerate accounts that we had. But when the tide came in, right, and you had to go back to what really mattered, and you have an army of people that are believing in your vision and your culture, you better make sure you have the heart, because they want to know who they're going to battle for. They want to know who their leader is. And if it comes down to just leads and splits, you're going to have a hard time being competitive in this space. So for me, I'm seeing a lot. It's keeping our agents positive, keeping our agents in the game, and the mindset that, listen, they create their own market. There's winners in good markets. There's winners in bad markets. So which one are you going to do? Which one are you going to be? And usually it comes down to the decision that they're going to make. For me, even in 2008, when the market crashed, I was like, okay, if there's only going to be that little bit of inventory and it's going to be the REO market, then I made the decision that I was going to be one of those agents. Didn't have an account, didn't know anything about REOs, didn't know anything about short sales, but I decided when that market went away and there was, a community I wanted to farm and there was a strong agent there, and I watched her, she was glorified, she was the inspiration. I saw she had no competitors. I said, I'm going to be number one. I made the decision. It was a mindset. They're like, you can't. She owns this market. I was like, well, they better make room for two. So I think in this particular market, it's no different. You have to decide that you are going to make the necessary changes, get in the right mindset. Proximity is power. Make sure that who you're rolling with has gotten through some type of, adversity or set up for success. And that's why I'm proud to be in your guys' corner, because I know you guys have been through many, many challenging markets and came out on top. So I'm excited for the future.
I love it. That made me think of, Jesse Itzler spoke at EXPCon a couple weeks ago, and it was the number one speaker I wanted to see because, frankly, I hadn't seen him speak ever in person other than, the YouTube stuff that I see there. And one of the most powerful things he ended his talk with, Veronica, I don't know if you were there for that keynote, was when he hired, or I think he hired like a Navy SEAL or something. It wasn't Goggins. It was
was it Chad? Was it Chad?
Real long beard and everything. And the mantra was, I don't quit. I'm not tired. That was what. I'm not tired. I don't get tired. I don't get tired. I don't get tired. I don't get tired. And it was interesting because, not to really bring up the election. There's been a lot of that's brought up, but I literally was just listening to a podcast yesterday where they had said Trump had stayed up for 72 straight hours and didn't go to sleep, like leading up to election day. And he's 78 years old or whatever he is. And I couldn't do that. But like, it's a mindset, right? Like, it's when things are tough. And I remember 2008, I have scars, 2009, I remember, getting delivered a foreclosure, packet. I was served for one of my rental properties that was just bombing, and I didn't have the money to pay that mortgage. So I ended up choosing to pay the mortgage that was over my wife and kids' head. So like, I don't get tired. I don't quit. Like having that, you have to have that. That's the talk, because we all talk to ourselves. In fact, this book, I'm going to reread it. What to say when you talk to yourself. Great book, by the way. And what do you say? What's the self-talk as a leader, leading a huge organization, of agents in your org, but then also a large high producing team. Like, what's the self-talk going on between the ears of the Queen Veronica Figueroa?
Well, I'll tell you, this year, like I said, was a tough year for me. Not because of real estate sales, because man, that'll just, I could figure that out. That part wasn't the problem, but let's talk about life. Life happens. Albie, you've become such a great friend. John, you're such an amazing mentor. Like my mom got sick this year, got diagnosed with cancer. I had some other personal things, and when your personal life feels like it's not going well, all of a sudden you could just start doubting yourself. But, I had an army of leaders around me that kind of protected me, and they made sure they kept the lights on and kept us going. And, there was a moment that I started having some self-doubt of like, am I a good leader? Like, am I failing them? How am I showing up? And, my emotional state of mind was oftentimes challenged. And I think I gave myself permission to be human and to be vulnerable, because for a long time I kind of was appearing to be on top. And I just recently went to this women's conference, and I'll be extremely honest and vulnerable. Like, I didn't want to go. I didn't feel comfortable going. The drunk monkey in my head was telling me, find an excuse to say no. You have every reason. You could say your mom wasn't feeling good, you're tired, just came back from EXPCon, you got sick, and all of this is true. And I was like, but something told me I need to get in that room. But I know why I was resisting being in that room, because that room was full of high achievers, high performers that are playing at a level that I was doubting a little bit of myself. And I was like, come on, I don't feel like I'm in my mojo, And sometimes you need to borrow someone else's mojo. Sometimes you need to borrow someone else's energy. And I was like, you know what? My girls, my friends over here, they're winning. You know what? And it's like passing the baton on. And I just need them to race a little bit faster, go a little bit faster, and remind me that we're all running this race together. And some of us go at different speeds, right? Some of us has been a little faster. Tina said to me the other day, hey, V, come on. She was like, I'm so proud of my sister. She's like ranking number 3 in the nation. She's like, where you at, V? She was like, come back. I was like, and I had the humility to say, Tina, baby, I did a repeat 2 years in a row. Can the girl admit that I'm a little tired right now. I was like, I'm gonna need you. I said, I'm gonna need you to keep the boys in check, because this year was hard for me. I just want to breathe. I just want to take a break. And it doesn't mean that I was broken. I just needed to take a break. But leading up to this conference, this was my last trip of the year. And like I said, I didn't want to go. I just came back from EXPCon, and I was like, God, like, why do I need to be in this room? And there was this voice in my head. I have really good discernment, intuition. God said, you need to be in that room. I was like, I don't want to fly halfway across the country. God, I'm tired, And he was like, you need to be in that room. And when I got in that room, I'll never forget the emotions that ran through my body. We did the women's panel, which was a badass panel with Kendall, Tina, Spring, Kellyanne, and just some studs. Zandra, like these women, billions of dollars, billions of dollars, impressive transactions. But what was so beautiful was the vulnerability about leadership. How we can admit that sometimes you just need to borrow someone else's inspiration to just keep on going. And some of these women, just finished the New York City Marathon. A couple just finished Mount Everest 29029. A couple, are having the best year in real estate. And to know that you could surround yourself around people, and know that leadership is not a straight line. Leadership is going to come with some challenges, but who you surround yourself matters, the things you say to yourself. And one of the speakers, after all the real estate talk, we really went into the deep work of leadership, life, mindset, wealth, relationships, health. And one of the speakers he's amazing. His name is William Lamb. If you guys aren't following him, he's amazing. I think you're going to hear a lot more from him. He said, when was the decision that you decided to plateau? When was the moment that you decided to plateau? And I'll tell you, there was a moment, and I recognize exactly when it happened, that I decided to plateau. And it was October 2022, when we got number 1 team again for the second year in a row. I remember, I recognized that moment, and I was like, And the reason I say that is because I also recognize how unsustainable at the time it was for me to continue to do that. If I didn't have my health in order, if I didn't have my relationships in order, if I didn't have my mindset in order, and it was just like I was on autopilot. And because I was on autopilot, I got so good at the grind that I recognized that I had forgot about me. And once we kind of got that, repeat underneath our belt, something I'll forever be proud of. But then I said, all right, God, like there's so much more. Like, I know you got more in store for me. I know you got more in store for me. So getting in that room, telling myself a completely different story, that I didn't fail, that I'm not a failure, that I'm still a leader, and that it's okay for me to say that I chose to plateau for a little moment, but it's time for me to get my mojo back. And it's not necessarily in building the largest team, which, this will be by design. It's really like, what are the priorities in my life? Who do I want to be in business with? What do I want to be remembered as? What kind of leader do I want to show up as? Like, I've struggled with certain things like addiction and other things. It's like, what? I want to be remembered not by the amount of homes that I, sold, but the lives that I impact. Like, my husband is working on his health. My sales director is like running 100-mile marathon. 100 Ks, like 100 miles. I'm like, these people are like, they're inspiring me to be a better leader. Now taking my health in order, really making sure I show up for this next phase of leadership for myself. So before I told myself I was a failure if I didn't continue to push myself in business. Now I'm telling myself a completely different story, if that makes sense.
So makes sense. I have to give some props here too. I mean, you just kind of the borrowed, was it borrowed excitement, borrowed motivate?
So I said mojo. I'm gonna borrow your mojo.
Borrow the mojo. Like, I borrow
and
from you. I borrow from John. Props to John. Just completed another 100-mile Tampa 100, brother. 104.
104 miles.
And I know you did the Keys, and I was actually in the Keys vacationing when you were, dying doing this 104 mile race. But I borrow that inspiration from the both of you more than more than I tell you. So thank you for that. But you're coming back from the She event. You're EXP Con. We're at the end of the year. What is Veronica Figueroa most excited about right now?
Oh, I'm actually really excited about, the direction of the team. I'm really excited about EXP's direction, also how our leadership is really just showing up in a time that, matters the most. Anybody could lead in a good market. I think the way we're leading in this market is really inspiring. As our mothership brokerage, it makes me proud. Obviously, at the helm of Leo's leadership and Glenn's vision. But my team, which is what I obviously has been always my bread and butter, I'm really excited about the direction that we're going to be a more profitable team, to be a team that is going to be a little bit more in control of our business. Obviously, I have been known to be in business with big conglomerates like Zillow and, iBuyers. But I think what we recognize is the minute it no longer brings us joy, we have permission to reset. So our team has been rallying together to say, hey, like, could we be a hybrid of what we used to be? A farm team, a homegrown team, that our brand was in our control, and we had to just have some real honest conversations of like, where do we lose our mojo at? Oh, it's good to identify. Now, how do we go about it to get it back? So we are implementing new standards of like an agent has to do X amount of videos to be on our team a week. We have to visit X amount of businesses a week. We have to visit X amount of communities a week. We are just doing simple things that move the needle. Because if the goal is to make sure that these big conglomerates that are charging now up to 40% of your business, and rumor is that obviously they're going to tap into possibly 50%, like, you need to make that less than, I would say, 18 to 15% of your business, right? And some of us, I see some of these teams out there bragging, flex. And shout out to Zillow. You've been a great partner for many years, but I still have the responsibility to make decisions in my business that are going to, you know, make sure that we have a business in the next 5 years. So for us, we're really excited about reimagining what this team looks like, how we increase profitability, and let us be a little bit more in control of our business versus the lead, I would say the lead pimps or the lead dealers that we were keeping in business and who were putting us out of business. And that's something I'm really excited, because I'm the type of person, if you put a challenge in front of me, I'm like, ooh, okay, like tell me I can't, watch how I will. And I'm happy that I have had all the opportunities that we've had that allowed us to be at this position. But I also know I'm excited about running a business completely different. Got to bring the joy back in, taking back our brand, doing some of the simple things that are duplicatable so that other people can do and follow, versus not everybody could go get those big accounts, right? So
Yeah.
it's exciting for us to kind of just go back to some of those basics and have some fun again in our business, because it's got to a point where it wasn't as fun.
You know, V, I earlier this year had reread Stephen Pressfield's Turning Pro, and he kind of talks in there at the end about kind of liken it to football, right? To where sometimes you just have to take what the defense is giving you, and I think navigating into the end of the year, kind of heard what you said, right? Like you've used that example in 08, 09, right? What was the defense giving me? Basically, what I'm saying is, what is the market giving us? As we know, we're going to be around 3.8, 3.9, whatever home sales. All indicators should go up next year. Should, doesn't mean it will. Should go up. But what do you see the market is giving us, right? Like you're talking about tapping back into the community at a deeper level. You're talking about the brand being more present, not relying on, the Zillows of the world, but really like, making your own business. But what do you see the market is going to give us? Al mentioned the headline, we're home sales, but rents 3 times, X growing at 3X the rate. What are you seeing, especially maybe in your market, but maybe even across the country? What is the defense? What is the market giving us that we need to really be paying attention to heading into the new year?
Well, based on our personal experience, we're still seeing, buyers, raising their hands. They're looking to negotiate a little bit stronger now. I mean, buyers know that they're in a position that they have options, but they're still wanting. This is my message to anybody out there who believes that buyers don't want to work with the buyer's agent. They're still wanting the representation of a good, strong buyer's agent. I think the reputation that we put out in the field gives people certainty that we have negotiation skills, that we have trust in the market. So I think if you're an agent that has built that, you're going to be okay, as long as you continue to be out in the front and give consumers, confidence in not only your skill set, but giving them options. I'm seeing people still want options. Sellers, our cash offer campaigns are still extremely, extremely successful. And what I think has allowed us to be I would say an industry expert in our market is that we have always been open to multiple ways to service the client. Like we don't just sell your home one way, right? We have options for you: traditional, iBuyer, off market. We've got ways to help you because we've built that network. Same thing with buyers. They'll hit us up like, what do you have that's not on the market? So buyers, for us, they've definitely shown us that they trust an expert that's been around. But what I will say that I'm seeing is that relationships are key right now. Relationships are key. You heard me talk about getting back in the community, doing some things that are going to surpass what I think the portals can offer, which is that trusted expert in the community that everybody sees not only at the fair, but they see them at the town hall, and they see them at the community events, and they see their signs in the yards. That agent is gonna thrive. I'm watching it happen in my market. I'm watching agents who are mastering that, smoke agents who simply had market share in the past. And it's because those agents got content. Yet these other agents who are out there grinding, who are out there making a presence for themselves, are really, really taking some market share. So, I'll let everyone make their own informed decision based on what they should be doing. I do think there's a world where both can coexist, but you better make sure that hiding behind the lead portals is not your only strategy.
Absolutely. Yeah. Jared James he went live when I was actually on my way down to Florida for EXPCon, and I couldn't watch the whole thing because I was on a plane, but he was mentioning that, there has to be an increased focus on the database. It's about not on how much top of funnel we can pour into it, because that's, we've been in the marketing world of it starts with traffic. And then how can you get that traffic into your offer down your top of funnel, and then get them into the middle of your funnel where you can nurture them and get them to a sale. But a lot of that gold is right in your database, more so now than ever before, is what I think I'm hearing you say. It's relationship driven. You have to start an intimate relationship with these folks that are in your database, that they're not raising their hand. They're in your database, but we have to use new techniques to try to get them to raise their hand. We used to oftentimes, John, call it shake the trees, in
Yeah.
database.
I'll be, you're spot on. So we're doing new things like, how can we deepen the relationship in our database? Over 150,000 people in our database, right? That can get messy. I'll tell you one of the tools, just for anybody who's listening. I'm not pitching a product. I don't get paid by the product, but I would say I was a late adopter to Fellow. Fellow is just crushing it in our database. Like the amount of seller hand raise, and then you could go in. You want a real kick in the in the teeth. You'll be able to see how many of the sellers who came into your database, since when they came into your database to now, how quickly they listed, who they listed with, how many attempts your team made. And it's crazy how many hand raises are there. And it's just like, literally, we turned on the lights with them a few weeks ago. I have been avoiding it for a while. And Harold's like, this is like crack. I'm literally sitting here. So sellers are definitely raising their hands. They are interested in selling. I don't think people are going to wait till the spring, or, now that the elections are over. They're saying literally in one day, we had over 15 seller hand raises in one day. Like, I'm ready for a CMA. Interesting enough, it's perfect timing. Now that the elections are over, I would like to talk to someone about selling my home. So like, I think that's a cool tool that we're using for 2025. Another thing that we're using that we're really excited about is Shiloh. Shiloh is another tool that we're really, really excited about. It was designed for big teams, such as Flex teams and Zillow teams, and people that have the extra layer of accountability. Oh, the call rating on that, to be able to coach your agents and listen to calls and know what's a 5, what's a 4, what's a 3, what's a 2, anything honestly above a 3.8, you're a rock star. You're a rock star in our world. So we pull out what are the good calls so we can leverage that for coaching. And the ones, anything below a 2.8, a 3, now, I can focus on that coaching call and help our agents out. So I'm really excited about some of the tools that we're implementing to be a lot more intentional in 2025 and work with people who are raising their hands, and then obviously be a little bit more efficient when we're in the community.
Yeah, I love that.
Awesome. So can we talk about what's happening in this market that we find ourselves in here?
Absolutely.
Homeownership, it's actually hit a high, believe it or not. I wouldn't have, if you would have told me that, I would be like, no, you're lying. Because, we hear a lot about the struggle that's happening in this market, and there are obvious struggles. But it climbed by 1%, but the renters climbed by 3x year over year after Q3. And we're seeing that trend. And the reasons that I'm seeing and reading, obviously, is that it's just the affordability of housing. Proof is in our company's Q3 numbers, is that we decreased 1% in number of transactions, but we increased more than 3% in volume. And it might have been actually 5%. I don't remember the exact stat, but it's somewhere between 3 and 5% in sales volume. And what that tells me is that the pricing of homes just keeps going up and up and up, which does pose a problem, not just with pricing, but obviously the interest rates. Now we're seeing a little bit of some forgiveness there, which is great. I'm reading that we can expect another cut, which would be great. But with that cut, it's a double-edged sword because it'll increase the demand, and with demand usually increase pricing, and pricing's already still increasing in this market. How are you guys as a team, boots on the ground? I know you have all these amazing tools, and Ryan Young's a close friend of mine. Actually, he lives right here in Cleveland, and I've known Ryan for many, many years. Just a great innovator. We actually had him on this podcast a few months ago, and so fellow's killing it. But what are you seeing, like, from the affordability standpoint? And you're in Florida. You're in a very hot area, with Orlando, not just with the homeowners living in the houses, but also you're a vacation rental area as well. So you're selling a lot of investment, even single family homes that they're either short-term rentals, long-term rentals, whatnot. Where do you see the solution for 2025? Pricing going up, interest rates dropping. What's this going to lead to?
Oh man, Albie. I wish I had a crystal ball. I don't have it. I really, really, really hope, and I'm pretty bullish on the fact that and this is my optimism kicking in. I think Orlando is still an affordable market across most markets. And people are still wanting to live here because, of course, we are a, very sunny state. But of course, with the recent hurricanes, I think a lot of people are going to question, is Florida where they want to live? We got really rocked this year, but my optimism is leaning more towards, I think, even with the rates dropping, I don't think prices are going to skyrocket again like we saw them, because we have a pretty high amount of inventory right now that, I think the more buyers that we obviously see enter the market, that'll obviously affect it. But I still think that we're in a good place right now, that prices aren't going to spike too much. We're seeing builders offer ridiculous incentives right now, so that's a good sign for us. On this side, they're offering, aggressive commissions. They're offering, even with the BBA, even though we can't increase it, once they give a bonus. But, again, they're really wanting to educate us ahead of time that they are, builders that are pro agent. And when the market's tough, when the market's good, builders bow out. They're like, oh, they don't like us real estate agents, but now they're leaning in. I literally have a builder coming to my office every single day, begging us, right? Incentives are crazy. Interest rates they've got all these buy downs. And then with the recent, obviously, unfortunate hurricanes in Florida, and insurance is a big thing for us in Florida. Some of these homes, insurance is an issue. So I think we're in a good place in Florida. However, I do think we're also seeing, and of course, Grant talked about this, Grant Cardone, rents are pretty high here in comparison to what you can get in a mortgage. So I think, buyers, if they are choosing to wait right now and choosing to rent, even though they can qualify, I think it's a number of things that they're looking at. Is Florida where I want to be home? Insurance premiums are super high. But as far as buyer confidence, I think we're starting to see a lot more buyer confidence because they have the negotiation wiggle room, right? They're not having to be desperate and offer $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 over. Now, they got to get over that mental challenge of the rate. But I think the rate, the rate is the rate, but all the other factors of, are they in a multiple offer situation? Are they being rushed to buy a home because there's 50 people in line to see that home? They're not having to deal with the emotional state that they went through 2 or 3 years ago, actually 3 or 4 years ago. But I do believe that, Orlando is still an affordable market. Obviously, it has its pockets where I live in one of the highest zip codes in Orlando. And people buy here because of the convenience, because they want to be a part of the best zip code, the schools, it's close to the airport. But for the most part, you could still buy really great property in Central Florida. So I'm pretty confident that we're not going to experience, even with rate drops, this ridiculous boom as far as price hikes over the next 12 months, because we still have an amount of inventory we have to absorb. We're at a 6.4 month inventory right now. We got work to do.
You said 6.4 months of inventory you have right now?
Yes.
That puts it in, that tips the scale into a buyer's market.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. And I don't know if it was Grant that said it. We went to the ConnectCon, ended our long trip in Dallas, and saw Uncle G up on stage. It was so cool watching him go with our friend Jana. But I don't know if it was him, but someone had mentioned it was the coastal properties that are getting clobbered with the high insurance for obvious reasons, with the storms and everything that we've been having, the surges and people losing everything. And these insurance rates, especially in Florida, and people are still flocking there. I'm about to flock there myself. I know Johnny is too. We're both, looking to be there because it's just the best state I can think of. I love it. But these insurance rates, I think you're onto something. I think that actually could, not in a good way, but as far as affordability, start knocking people out of the market in buying like a coastal property, because insurance rates.
And they may choose to rent.
Ridiculous.
They may choose to rent over owning. They may choose to rent over owning and say, I'll pay the premium rental, but I get the lifestyle, but I don't have the responsibility. Should a storm come, it be my responsibility, my burden. So I can see that happening. I mean, I'm getting ready to buy another property on a beach in an island. And I'm like, oh gosh, okay, well, it's insurable. Do I sell this in Florida and just rent a corporate apartment in Florida because, I can come in, do whatever I got to do. But anyways, I mean, there's a lot of different viewpoints on renting is not a bad thing, for some people. Like Grant says it, right? Own where you rent where you own, so it's interesting, what approach we decide to take.
Love that. We only have a few more minutes with you. So, do we want to talk about Opendoor or EXP? I'm voting. Let's talk about EXP. A lot of times when we start approaching Thanksgiving, we always hear this. Oh, I can't wait for this year to be over. Oh my God, I can't wait for it to be over. We hear this, right? It's all up in here. I am so excited about the next year, but I'm excited about this year. I mean, we got clobbered, right? Absolutely clobbered from the shift that everyone had to make in the spring and how we were approaching the relationship with buyers and our compensation, to, the amount of agents leaving the industry, which most of them weren't selling a whole lot. So that's not entirely a bad thing. But as a result of a lot of that, we're seeing the teams are really coming together, and they're out producing, a lot of the solo agents. Well, we're seeing a higher average number of transactions happening per team member, even for a big team, when you average it all out, versus what we're seeing with a lot of the solo agents. And I mean, I love teams. I'm a huge fan, but you know what? I love watching a solo agent do their thing in that, because that's their lane. There is no right or wrong. It's whatever's up your alley. But we are seeing, like, 2024, I feel has been, a great lesson. It's like one of those lessons you don't ever want to have to go through it again. But I feel momentum. I feel like we are actually heading out of this year that has handed us so much, so many lessons, and into the 20. I can't even believe we're saying 2025. What?
I know.
I mean, really? 2025, it's incredible to think about. Like EXP, we have a new leader. That's the other big exciting thing. I mean, we got Leo the Lion coming in here roaring. Not only has he been able to interject a new energy into our agents, into the culture of everything, but from a P&L standpoint, no one sees this, right? But look on the P&L. We've reduced our expenses dramatically. And that is, you got to point your finger at one person, That's Leo Perea. And talk about I don't get tired. I don't know if Jesse Itzler learned that from him or if he learned it from Jesse Itzler, but that man does not get tired. I mean, it's unbelievable. So it's refreshing to see, a young, energetic, vibrant, but also just very pragmatic in the way he thinks through a problem. His emotional intelligence. I mean, for real, and I mean, it's just really refreshing going into this new year, 2025. I'm excited. The future's looking bright, not just for our industry, but for EXP as a whole. We're we posted a loss for this quarter, but that's attributed to the giant check that we had to write for the settlement. If we were to take that out, we would have actually posted like a $7 million gain for that quarter. But because of it, we had a small loss. But that shows up on the balance sheet and it's right off the next quarter. It's gone. It's done. It's paid. I feel great about the momentum. What are you most excited about specifically with EXP? Financials are looking great. Glenn's vision was, I think it was 300,000 agents by 2026. So that's a tall order. I don't know that we're going to hit that, but I would love to see our momentum start to go back up again. We had Kinzel Realty. They brought the entire brokerage over. They were a cloud-based. They launched shortly after I think we joined EXP. I think they were one of the first. I don't want to say this in a derogatory way, but copycat models that went and tried to duplicate this. And they're amazing entrepreneurs. It just shows you how hard it is to launch something like this and get it going. What do you see for 2025? Do you see I think we're up to like 23 copycat types of companies that are mimicking the cloud-based model. It almost feels like this model now is the standard. We're not seeing your traditional brokerages launching like we have in the past where they're taking off, and haven't seen a Redfin or Compass even. Compass. So what are you looking forward to for 2025 relating to our amazing company EXP Realty?
I'm just so proud, honestly. It's so easy to get distracted. I think the pros understand what it takes to run a business. We're not easily distracted. We understand the cost of moving our business. We understand the cost of doing business. I think Chantel's a phenomenal leader. What she built out at Canzel, kudos to her. She did really get some traction. But I love a humble leader to say, hey, sometimes you just got to be able to say, recognize where can we be stronger. And with all these other copycats coming out, you hear the we're the next EXP or we're the next this. I'm like, look, Chantel said it best from stage. The counterfeit money, right? The study of how the Treasury trains their team to identify counterfeit. They don't study the counterfeit. They study the actual $100 bill. They study every detail of it. They look at it, they know it, they touch it, they feel it, they have discernment. And, there's going to be a lot of copycats. But I think for those of us who are serious about our future, we know what the characteristics of a winning company and formula and leadership feels like. Is like most of us were either broker owners, team leaders. We understand what it is to run a P&L. We understand what it is to have liability. We understand what it is to have all the pressure from the knowledge that you have to have to maintain a large roster. And it's a lot of responsibility. And man, when I came to EXP, I came for a number of reasons. One is I didn't want to be a broker anymore. Number two, I didn't want to have the liability. Number three, I wanted to lean on a platform that could allow me to do what I do best and let me run and give me more opportunities to unlock potential, unlock wealth, and to create a world where my agents' worlds can continue to grow. And to this day, regardless of what's out there, I have not found or seen anything that can do what EXP has offered me. And therefore, I'm in the counterfeit business. I feel like I'm an expert built by the Treasury. I know how to identify the real thing, so I'm not focused on the counterfeits. But it is nice to know that we have now pioneered a way that, yeah, rev share should be a part of the future for every company. You know what? Congratulations. Welcome to the cloud-based space that you're open-minded to at least take a look at it. But now, if you're going to sit here and say that there's something better than EXP, you better know how to study the real deal, baby. I'm excited also because EXP isn't just, sitting on their laurels saying, okay, we created this space. Like, we just continue to get better. The partnership with Sisu, hands down, is in alignment with the statement that we say where the pros go. Why? Because the pros understand accountability. We understand efficiency. We understand that there's tools and resources out there that some companies are saying, well, we're the most tech-forward real estate company. Well, guess what? Just because you can build it doesn't mean you should. And I think I love this about Leo. Leo said, well, they're leading in this space. Why don't we do something together? Why don't we arm our teams and our, operators and our organizational leaders and our agents with this tool that's going to help them run a stronger business? The deal with Canva. Hey, you know what? Some people mocked it. Oh, what's $12? $12 is still $12. Math is math. If you stack that, and Tina said it best. I'm a team leader. At one point, it was costing me probably $6,000 a year to have Canva Pro Enterprise when I was controlling every asset on the team. Now, guess what? You just saved me money. The Corded.io partnership, intelligence AI to help you know who you should be calling, who's a good fit for your team. Albie, I did a demo with them outside of the EXP partnership. It was going to cost me $1,000 a month per MLS. I'm in 4 different MLS markets. Because of EXP's partnership, it is now $250 a month for me, which saved me a significant amount of money simply because I have the power and the backing of EXP. The Lux VT partnership, that in itself is a game changer. So the way I look at it is my math starts mathing. I'm like, okay. I just reconfirmed why I partnered with this company. The power of our leadership, the power of them knowing what it is that we need to run a business. And I'm proud to say it just fits in line with what we're saying, what we're proving, and what is happening. It's where the pros go to grow. We can all probably be successful in any company, ABC Realty. I could go to any copycat right now and walk in but I want to be here. I want to grow here. What Glenn is doing with international. I spoke to someone and they realized the real estate global market it's shrinking. It's shrinking. The leaders in other markets and other countries want to do business with us. They want to see what it is. They want to learn from us and they want to collaborate with us. So global is a huge part of our roadmap for the future. And anybody that says it's not important, I don't want to go with the company that's just now starting in that space. I want to be in the company that's already created a pathway for us to grow. So for me, I'm super excited. This was the best EXPCon. The momentum was great. It was like re-energizing and it just went to go confirm. And you know what? There is nothing like an activated Glenn Sanford. Glenn might be quiet. He might be someone that people think, oh, he's soft-spoken, kind. Glenn is kind, but he is the type of warrior that I want to be in business with, because when you activate that man, his just brilliance just becomes just unmatched. And now with Leo at the helm of leading EXP Realty side, with his youth, with his, he just carries this, like, I don't know, this, I would say
lion
aura.
He's a lion, right? Baby. Yeah.
He knows what we need as practitioners, because he was one of us. He's also built tech. Like, I just feel we have a dream team. So I'm super excited about 2025. My team is excited about 2025, what they're doing with institutional services. We have over 200 assets assigned to us just because earlier this year, I declared part of our business plan was we were going to go all in with EXP. Let all the distractions come. Let all the counterfeits come. Let all the copycats come. I was like, noise to me. Head down. What are we doing? And the company has delivered, and I'm excited about the future.
Love it. Johnny, what are you most excited about 2025 as we wrap up?
Yeah, I mean, we've navigated tough markets, and I think, we all prove, and when our back's against the wall, we always find a move. There's always a move, right? And I think there's more opportunity coming our way than, a lot of people don't realize or don't see. So I think for me, I'm super excited that, there's a lot of opportunity, and, I think if you don't have the right mindset, the right inner circle, the right infrastructure, the right support, you're going to miss it. And I think, having a lot of those pieces in place are going to allow, to take advantage of it. And I love what you said, V, right? Like, no, like there's a lot of distractions, but like I've got the blinders on. I know what I'm looking, the lenses that I'm looking through, and I'm going to go get what's out there.
I love it. Well, hey, we're past our time, and I really do appreciate you taking. I know you're late for a meeting. We're going to let you go real quick to mimic what, I'm going to use one more presidential analogy here. I love the cabinet that Glenn's put together. Glenn, I remember when Gary Keller pissed him off a few years ago, and it was like, it's on like Donkey Kong, and he lit up. Okay. Like, yeah, Glenn is a passive person, but he has got a fire in his belly that he just doesn't let show every once in a while. And I saw that again at EXPCon. It was amazing to see the energy, like just the energy in him has really changed. And I'm not saying that it was in a bad way, but everybody goes through lulls, right? But like he is in his zone. I feel like he's happier than I've ever seen him. Leo, the cabinet that we have put together. Look at Chantel Fitch. When you add big, like super smart, off the chart, smart entrepreneurial leaders to the One Big Fire, this is what it's about. This podcast, it is about not just burning your own fire over there in your campfire, but putting it all together and burning bright, burning hot. I'm excited about the fire that we are going to be riding into 2025. And I love you. And I appreciate you coming on and gracing us, Queen. Presence. We love you so much. And John, thank you.
Oh, you guys are
let's
exciting.
Run.
Let's do this.
All right, everybody.
One Big Fire.
See you at the top.